Yes, my name is Nedim, and I will do the first part of the presentation. I will tell you a little bit about the Mondi, and then our approach, our pillars of success, if you wish, and then I will hand over to Andrea, who is going to cover the envelope mailer as a product, and then also the machine that we developed to even foster the innovation. So the intersection of innovative packaging and automation, why we are calling it like this, because all of you who are in the e-commerce industry, in the logistics, you know that automation is a mega trend. That more and more companies inevitably have to go in this direction, and then you have many solutions on the market. What is important here is that we started with the packaging, and then went the step further and build a machine for this particular packaging. So a little bit about the Mondi. So we are one of the leading paper and packaging companies, 26,000 employees, over 100 production sites. We are obviously a global company. We are also very focused on e-commerce. We have been focused on e-commerce for the last 7-8 years. If you look at the packaging and paper market, we are one of the companies with the widest portfolio. So we are offering to our customers a box portfolio. We have paper bags, and then we also have the paper that is mostly used for automated packing lines. This can be a standard craft paper. This can also be the coated paper that is used by particular types of machines. When it comes to the e-commerce and our focus, we have been all these 8 years. We were very focused on a few points on how to impact our customers' performance, reducing packaging costs, minimizing the waste, and then meeting the end consumer demands, which is also crucial. And then finally, when it comes to Mondi overall. And we also adopted this for e-commerce. We have three pillars of success. First one is service. The second one is quality. And these two are really the given. Anyone here who is doing anything, I think that quality and service is crucial. And then the third part, which we believe that differentiates us from the competition, is the innovation. Innovation, it can be just a word. It can be something that you are just saying that you're an innovative company. However, through this story, and this is only one of the stories, we will show you concrete steps that we took with our customers to innovate on their behalf. And you will see that it was, as I mentioned, an innovation in packaging, and then an extension of this innovation in the form of the automated packing line. So with having said this, I will hand over to my colleague Andrea to cover the actual story.
Thank you, Nedim. Hello, everybody. So, as Nedim already rightfully outlined, automation is increasingly a need in the fulfillment. When it comes to the consumer actually doesn't care how you managed in the background, but they will care in which condition the product arrived. They will care if it was in a very quick and short time, because that's their expectation. Therefore, I will start the story about the packaging first. Yeah, so that's the starting point, and talking here about the complexity that you all face in your daily businesses. Yeah, we can look at different angles of complexity. So one part can be that you continuously enlarge your portfolio or your offering to the customer. Yeah? Another one can be that you extend your business to other markets and you face all of a sudden a lot more volume that you need to handle. So what maybe have worked for you yesterday might not work anymore today for you. Yeah? And this is when companies start to review the packaging, review the processes, think about automation and all these sort of things. Yeah? And many question marks come along. So in our story, this has also been the starting point. Yeah? the mailer solutions in the market all of a sudden were not sufficient anymore to cope with the variety of product that needed to be packed. So we saw an increasing need to have still a mailer that could cope with really a lot of different products. Yeah? So we took our network of designers, so we have over 110 product designers, and we looked at this issue at hand, and we gave the task to them. So what we did then is we developed a new kind of mailer to the market that actually solved the issues at hand. Yeah? So first of all, there was the topic of saying, okay, I have so many different products. I don't want to have so many schools of packaging. I do not want to have so much air shipped. Yeah? So we focused on all these products types that go into mailers. So let's say products that have not a higher height than 7 centimeters, yeah, but maybe different footprints. So we managed to do that. And we are also put this really to the test. Yeah? So we had a lot of customers and players in the market, and we put it in several FCs. They rolled it out. They looked what was the feedback, what was the performance of the mailer in the market. So really after, I would say, several millions in the beginning phase in the market, we got the confirmation that this product is valid one, and it serves the purpose, solves these issues that were at hand here. Maybe to go a little bit more into the benefits of it, yes, they were able to reduce the number of packaging that they have for smaller product. Yeah, there were little boxes, there were kind of these mailers that you can fold and so on. And then also you didn't need any more additional filling material, so that's also a benefit. Yeah? What else was there? So we were able to replace the other packaging types, yes, but also that resulted in maybe less space that you need in the warehouse. Yeah, so there's several things that you can solve with it, and of course, then simpler sourcing if you have less packaging. But also we saw from the market that the protection level had increased, compared to previous mailers, and the packaging process itself was up to 8% faster. So all these things confirmed in the market that the product is a viable product. Yeah? And it was also rolled out, and I can truly say that it's not a concept. Yeah? We have over 450 million of these mailers in the market. And so therefore we said, okay, there's all these benefits, and our customers still would like to increase the output and the efficiency. They're very happy with the product. So we saw it's also a very scalable product. And that's when we said, let's also take the step of innovate, a full solution where you have product and automation with it. So Mondi was already active in packaging automation before. Yeah, we are also looking at the high quality of the boards that's needed in automation, box designs that have a good runnability on machines and so on. But this was really the step where we said, okay, there is a good product and it needs its unique automation. And this is where we entered this kind of process. Yeah? So why am I telling this story so much about this product also? Yeah? Because if you have a product that's not working well in a process and you're not so sure if the process is an optimal process, maybe you should not automate that process because it's going to put you really in a pit. It's maybe causing a mess. Yeah? So checking all these boxes was really the point where we said we're very certain that automation is a good next step here. So our philosophy in this was, yes, we ticked all the boxes, the protection, the sustainability. It was confirmed in the market, it was confirmed in the operations, and we had this scalable product because it was something that many companies could be using. So what we had done on the product side, we also wanted to do on the automation part. So really going through a process of checking all the boxes, that it's something that's really viable to the market. So how did we do that? We had a lot of interviews, discussions with players in the market and gathered what is their need. What were they looking for in automation? Yeah, so many had already looked at different solutions. Yeah, sometimes the feedback was, well, I don't have so much space in my current footprint or the layout of the plant. Several solutions I looked at are way too big, I cannot fit them. Yeah, others said, well, the investment I don't have at the moment so much that I can such a capex for the next time. We're not rebuilding a complete center. I want to have current facility. So just to make the story short, so the key parameters that also we gathered to really create a good brief, and at the same time looked at a really good partner to develop this machine with us. Yeah? So here we said, okay, the output needs to be 500 per hour in the pack. Yeah? So we knew already from our operations in the manual process from the envelope mailer, that this would double, if not triple, the speed, basically, of the manual packing process. Yes, I talked about the space. So together with Heiber and Schröder, who was our partner in developing the machine, they really managed to put together a machine that has a very small footprint. So there's different kind of layouts, but minimal is 14 square meter. Yeah, so for the whole machine, and I will show you what kind of process it handles in this small space. What was also very important is that it's also very easy and quick to maintain. So that means in the daily running business, there should be no disruptions, no disturbances. So I will tell you also what we looked then in the process further, how to achieve that. And also the filling step should be automated. So we heard from many things that were looked at in the market comparing different automation, that very often the filling step itself was not part of the process, of the automated process. So you still needed a person that actually placed the product into the packaging. So how did this process look and what is the time frame that we had here? So we started in 2021 with this definition and gathering all these requirements and put this into a briefing for Heiber and Schröder. So in 2021, it took then 18 months for them to come up with the concept of the machine. In the meantime, we constantly checked back with the market, with the players, with the ones that we interviewed also for the requirements, to also look with their operations. Is there anything else that we need to not overlook eventually? So in this phase, also they looked really closely that, for example, running machine parts, have not a lot of wear and tear. So everything to really make it that it's easy to maintain, it's easy to operate, and it's something that's a simple solution for them to work with. Something that's not complex to explain if you change the operator at some point that watches over the machine process. So in August 22, we had then our prototype. So here we also got the application for it, factory acceptance test. We had site acceptance tests, so it was stress test really in a high-speed, full capacity environment. And this is then when we said, okay, it's ready to market, and we will go. In the meantime, we also add, depending on different discussions we're already having with interested customers, we're discussing also additional functionalities, like, for example, the scanning process and so on. I will just tap very briefly into what the machine now does in the process. So you will see, we cannot show a video here. So welcome that we share also a video of the machine later on for who is interested. The machine itself, how is this working? So you see here the basic layout of the machine. So operating all these many steps on the 14 square meter was, thankfully to Heiber Schröder, was possible to have in such a compact way done. What you see on step one is basically the products that you have. They come in on the conveyor belt. You see step one is in orange because it depends on what the customer wants, how this process really looks on the scanning. So there's a possibility to have a code reader behind, so if your database gives you the sizes of the, or it's also a possibility to include a dimension scanner. So based on this scanning process, the machine knows from the 2 or 4 magazines that it can have with the different envelope mailers and different envelope mailer sizes, which kind of mailer should be used. And then it selects the right mailer, it opens the mailer, the product is pushed into the mailer, and then it's closed, and goes forward then to the label application and labeling. And from there it goes into your sorting process, and it's part of how you integrate it into your systems. So this is the process that it offers. I already mentioned, so 500 packs per hour is the target speed. So that means around 6 seconds for each pack. What is the benefit of the machine on top? I was saying already, yes, you have a very strong speed and performance here. Also, the investment for the machine is relatively seen to other bigger automation with comparable speeds, also not very high. So the return of investment is quite fast. And we have a very solid operation here from the perspective. We also look to have a machine that has a very low energy consumption. So these are things that it offers. And what's also benefit is, yes, it uses really standard machine parts. So we created here a machine that's a little bit atypical maybe on the market, particularly due to the fact that it also performs the filling operation. But they managed to use really standard parts. So that's also in terms of how it's maintained a benefit. Yes, I mean, if somebody wants to have this kind of output, but they're still growing, it's of course possible then with a smaller footprint to add later on. So it's kind of a concept that helps you in any case, wherever you are and wherever you want to grow. So let's say you start with the manual operation, you do not need to shift to another product in the automation then. Also could help with peak performances that you still can do some manual operation on the side and still have the same packaging product. Good. Yes, so that's all I can tell you about our concept, about our machine. So thanks for that. I will now hand over to colleagues in case there's any questions to us.
Thanks, Andrea. I'll start with a question first and then we'll open it up. So, Nedim, Andrea, is the machine available now commercially?
Yes. So, as I said, so we have now one complete solution readily available. So one machine is completed and with the machine producer, so this one's available. And then from there on, every other machine, that would be a 9-month lead time to order more machines. But it's ready, to market, and one is already completely produced and ready for sale. And
did you say that you've been working with particular clients as you've been developing this machine, or yeah, you have, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
No, we brought in the voice of many of the customers and players on the market on developing it, yes.
And I guess, do you discuss in these forums costs for the machine, or you don't?
No, I mean, I can give an outline. So there is, of course, different functionalities and also how many magazines and so on. So there's different modules. But the base version of the machine is 250,000, yeah.
Okay. I have a few more questions, but let's ask the audience first if there's a question. Anybody? No? Okay, I've got a few more. Could you give us a bit more of an idea about the production benefits and the efficiency benefits of the machine? I know, did you say it should be 500 packs
per hour?
Yeah. So give us a little bit more idea, because obviously anyone that wants to buy the machine wants to know what is it gonna, how is it gonna improve the production and efficiencies?
I mean, generally spoken, I think it's individual in every case. Yeah, what is your setup? What is the current speed to see what kind of improvement it brings you? I can now just speak from behalf of when you have already an envelope mailer in place. Yeah. so on the manual process. And I don't know, everybody will know what their speed of packaging is with the current solutions and how many pack stations and so on they're having. But let's say typically 150, 120, 150 packs per hour manually. And then you can see that you can almost triple that. So that means, yes, you can probably have 2 FTEs less. In general, you will need an operator, of course, that will check, when the magazines are empty to refill it. So that depends on if you have different sizes and if you have a good spread of the sizes or one is used more than the other. So I think every 20 to 45 minutes, depending on that, somebody will need to also refill the magazines. But in general, we would think that one person can operate 3 machines with no problems. Yeah. Also meaning to go back and get the packaging material from the warehouse to the machine, so including that. Because the change process is quite simple. The mailers come really in stacks, so you just take the stack, I put it in the magazine, so the filling process itself is like 60 seconds, if that answers.
To refill the magazine. And then maybe something to add here also is that when it comes to the operations, that we are using, so the same product is used for manual packing and automated packing. So then, in this sense, we all know here that the Q4 is always busy, that the volumes are spiking up. So this can then be also alternated when the machine is used more than some other times, and also can be supplemented in case that something happens, that the manual workforce can just pick up where it left. Versus if you have some other automated lines, it will be difficult because you actually cannot do anything with the raw material.
Okay. I think, throughout the packaging industry, automation and digitalization is, the name of the game for some time now, especially recently with digitalization. So the first question is just sticking on this point about the costs, etc. I know you touched on return on investment. If someone's considering buying the machine, so give us an idea. Is there do you figure that out based on how much staff they don't need with this machine, obviously, and obviously the higher production, so and the output. So can you give the audience a little bit more of a summary on the return of investment is what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm. So maybe I start and maybe you have something to add then. Yes, so there is what we do typically is we put together a plan, we calculate a business case basically with the customer, so that looks at these kind of things. What's I think very critical and important is really to know how much of your product can go into this automation. Yeah, so what is the share of your total shipments that you can operate within in this one. Yeah, so there's different companies where it can be up to 100%. So then they can really replace all their operations in the packing with the machine eventually. Yeah, so but this is a case by case. Yeah, to be calculated and seen. What the effort is. What maybe else is to say, because you speak on return of investment. There's different modules that we also offer. Yeah, in terms of financing the machine. So there's a model of co-financing, for example. Yeah, so also with longer term contracts of supply. So where actually the entry hurdle for automation becomes very low for the customer.
Exactly, and then also I mentioned now at the beginning that that automation is a mega trend, and it's on the one hand side you have to calculate return on investment, and here pending that customers or e-commerce companies have a certain volume behind it, we can accomplish they do achieve return on investment within the 2-3 years. However, there is another point that all e-commerce companies are facing when it comes to logistics and fulfillment, is that there is simply a lack of manual workforce. And it's not even at the moment that just to calculate the benefits, but the companies are more or less forced to go in this direction, because as we move forward, this is going to be a bigger and bigger problem. And then, so all the companies that I'm working with, that we are working with, either have already implemented automation, they are in the process of implementation, or they are thinking and basically finding the right solution.
Okay, and to touch on digitalization, obviously there is a strict difference between automation and digitalization and Industry 4.0, etc. And obviously this falls into the automation category. But give us an idea about Mondi and digitalization. Moving forward on these packing lines, do you see more of a trend going forward with digitalization, or is this part of the packing line always going to necessarily be just in the automation part of things?
What do you mean by digitalization exactly?
So can it be controlled remotely? Is there someone accessing information from the cloud, etc., etc.?
So I think that the automation of fulfillment centers, it's an ongoing initiative, if you wish, in e-commerce fulfillment. And now we recently, I think most of us read here about an article that JD.com in Shanghai opened up a fulfillment center that has 1 million parcels shipped per day, and they only have 4 workers in that facility. And I think that this is where the world is going.
Yep.
I mean, now if we see where the artificial intelligence is going, that it's inevitable that we are going to go in this direction. And if you're looking at how the e-commerce fulfillment centers are getting automated, then you will see that the packaging part is really the minor part. That everything else is usually has the priority. It requires larger investment, and then the packaging part needs to integrate in the systems that are already there. So I think that whatever the wave is and whatever the direction is, that the packaging will play a crucial role. And then obviously with our own machine, which is a niche machine, we will follow this trend, and then we will go in a direction that all other automated packing line companies are going.
Please.
Here's
there you
go.
Hi, it's not actually a question about the automation, but the packaging itself and what you're putting into it. Is this mailer recyclable? Is it reusable? Can it be used in the returns of good and the sort of the reverse logistics element?
So yes, the mailer is fully recyclable. So we've also made external testing and certifications for that. So that is the case. The way it's used, it depends on the customer about returnability. So there's the option to have 1 or 2 hot melt strips applied. So one's for your own closure in the filling process, and the other one is for the return shipment, so that it could be easily closed by the consumer to return it. So that is possible. You're touching a good point on reusability. Yeah, so there's also a big discussion, is the return already a reuse? Yeah, so typically by the definition of the EU, it's not. Yeah, so, but this is the big topic that captures the packaging industry at the moment, to say, how are we going to cope with that in the future? What does this mean? I think it's not going to be solely a question of the packaging to be reusable. I think a lot of questions will be in the supply chain or in the delivery chain itself to be solved.
Just to touch on that, with regard to environmental credentials, maybe not so much of the machine, although if we could discuss that, but going to the mailer, on Packaging News on our website and magazine, we often cover e-commerce and the perceived recycling, not recyclable, but the recycling rates, which often stems from plastic tape on brown boxes or on mailers, which reduces the recycling rates. So I guess this question's for this particular mailer, but just generally as in your e-commerce sphere. Could you discuss, what's your view and what Mondi is doing to promote more recycling of packages in e-commerce?
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe I don't know if the audience knows that, but we do also operate our own paper mills, and they are very often part of a closed loop concept. So we are part of the recycling process also on that end. So we have a very good knowledge also what can be added to a product, because you will need some functionality where there might be some additional material on it. It's always been best to try to avoid it, but there is a lot of substance that do not have an issue in this cycle. There is also always the question, and if there is a certain material in it, is there a facility that has the technology to recycle that kind of material? So that's something where we know for our loop. We know what our mills can recycle. That's why we sometimes also offer the closed loop concept to the customers in certain cases. So that's our contribution, how we can do that. I think there is also a very clear strategy from the EU about the recyclability. So there is also guidelines how to develop packaging that's made for recycling. So I think more and more this is an issue. It's still a matter of investments in the industry, in the recycling facilities, to broaden that and open it up maybe to more alternative packaging, particularly to reduce plastic in the overall, let's say, packaging world. So there's still a process ongoing, but our products, and Mondi has also a MAP 2030 on sustainability, so our products are targeted to be 100% recyclable by 2030, and I think at the moment it's way more than 85-90% that already are.
Mm-hmm. All right, gentlemen. Hey, I wanted to ask a question about your technical capabilities of the product. We are a print-on-demand company, and we have different kind of garment products like hoodies, T-shirts, and stuff like that. So we have them in different sizes, obviously. So would it be possible to configure the machine to pack, let's say, 3 products simultaneously, then the next one as a one product? And so basically, how is it possible to set up this functionality?
Mm-hmm. So maybe to answer, so yes, the machine can detect what kind of product size it's there. So it doesn't matter if for the first time you have a tiny product and it's a little bit bigger. So as long as it fits into the mail in general, it can detect that, and you can bring everything into the machine. We also tested 2 or 3 products to be put into the machine, so that's also possible. And that's something that's automatically detected as well. You mentioned T-shirt. I mean, there is some products that might not function so well. So it's very soft items because it's a kind of a push into the envelope. So very soft products like that, it's maybe not the perfectly right solution for it. Did you want to add anything to that?
Yes, I also agree that we are talking here about mostly rigid products up to 2 kilograms in weight. Anything from books, small electronics, and cosmetics. But when it comes to the products that you are shipping, it all depends on how they are packed, actually, because you will have some packing. It's unless you are going to have only a shirt that goes directly into the envelope mailer. Then it would be difficult. In any way, we always what we always do is that we ask customers who are interested in the machine to send us their products, and then we do the live demo, and then we see in reality if it works or not.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple more from me. How quickly can it be installed? I guess the answer to that is depending on your client and depending on how big or how small their pack area is and what they require?
Yeah. No, I mean, generally from the side of the machine producer. So when we have an order, so the 9-month lead times, but when the machine's there, so it takes 3 to 4 weeks, I would say, till the machine's up and running. But as you mentioned, it's also a question of this integration part. So that's, of course, then on the side of the customer, how quickly they move there. Also, if data integration and other things are needed. So roughly that would be the time frame that, from our side and from the machine producer side is possible.
It also depends on the volume ordered.
Yeah.
So yes, that the first machine is in this way. If we have more, then we could expedite the second, third, fourth, and fifth machine, obviously. Yes, this is a really good point that Andrea mentioned also that. So one part is that what is happening from our end, and obviously our supplier or manufacturer. What happens on the other side is also crucial, and especially the integration of the machine, not even the physical integration in the fulfillment centers, but the data interconnection. This needs to be perfectly aligned so the machine is running.
Another question. I don't suppose you can mention, if who you're working with potentially, or who might come on this project with you. But can we assume you're working with big brands, the DHLs and the Amazons of this world, or can we just assume that you're working with the big brands? Because I'm assuming you're targeting them.
No, Mondi is working with major brands in the e-commerce, so that you can be certain of. Yeah. I cannot mention them, but as I said, in this run and knowing that we do work with these big customers, they were also part of our investigative process,
Right.
and they were part of the development for sure. So that means also that the machine, the way these requirements that we're having. This is also requirements that we got from companies that have like a really high output.
Yeah.
And by evaluating the share of the packs that can go in their processing here. So so that's why the machine, it's really, I think what really the benefit is, it fits into a small operation, but it also is valid for these really high output operations, and even if you then plan to add several sequenced machines.
Yes, if I may add, so the way we think about innovation is that we never do any academic exercises. So it is always a joint innovation and joint projects with our customers. This is the first point. The second point is that we never do anything only for one customer. So it's always that we might start with a particular customer, but always have in mind that whatever we are developing or working on, that should be scalable. So this is also the case here. And then the one specific thing about this machine is that basically the way you are covering this high output is really by adding the machine one next to each other, because they do have such a small footprint. They are simple. They are easy to install and maintain. So, for example, also this was an idea that if we have one machine, it can be enough for smaller companies. Mid-sized companies will have 2 or 3 machines, which is going to cover the output. And then if we are talking about the biggest ones, then we just need to roll out the larger volume of them in their fulfillment centers.
Okay. Just a final question from me. Just generally, I'd like to get an idea about Mondi's work in e-commerce since the pandemic. Obviously, during the pandemic, the e-commerce market went crazy, understandably. But since then, what kind of trends generally have you seen in e-commerce, and obviously then the effect on packaging and logistics, and how business was and is since the pandemic is what a short summary, because we're going to run out of time.
So the e-commerce market, as you mentioned, so it was always a growing market, right? I mean, this is with all the drivers around e-commerce. I mean, e-commerce has been growing during the pandemic even more so, and now a year after the pandemic, we flattened out a little bit. Now we have this situation, the worldwide situation when it comes to basically the higher inflation. We have a political part there as well, and that impacts the purchasing power of consumers. So it spiked up and then it flattened out, and now it's slowly, basically, we would say at a roughly, when we are looking at our results and our volumes, roughly at the level of last year. And then all our projections are saying that that e-commerce is going to continue its growth, starting with we do expect recovery in the second part of this year, and then going forward we expect to do it. Pandemic was an insane period. Because we felt that our factories were working 24/7, and we are proud of the fact that we never stopped delivering. We are proud of the fact that we not only delivered what we promised, but we also delivered for additional volume. And I think for us it was also a great time, because we really had to perfect our service levels to accomplish all of it. And then this is what we took from the pandemic. We are continuing on this path going forward, and for sure we are going to keep betting on e-commerce in the future.
Okay, I think, any more questions? Otherwise we can wrap up. Okay. Thanks to Nedim and to Andrea, and have a nice rest of the show. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
listening.